The Hawai'i Sports Radio Network on 95.1 FM and AM 760 presents Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ule Agbayani.
Good morning, beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. I'm Ku'ule Agbayani alongside Paul Braxton. You're listening on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and hawaiisportsradio.com. We are normally live every Monday on YouTube, but as you could tell, it took us a little while to jump on because our YouTube live stream, it's just because we have so much excitement to talk about. It just wanted, at least for me anyways, I couldn't have a completely perfect football weekend and something not go correctly on Monday, of course. So we will still try to get ourselves up on YouTube, but for now, just listening. Sorry, I see our Lord Schaefer is already up there in the YouTube chat, so shout out to him if he is listening right now. But hopefully you can respond that we are not on YouTube right now, but we are efforting to get us back on. We are recording at the very least, so if we cannot figure out how to get back on, you guys can watch it later on demand. But thank you again for tuning in on the Hawai'i Sports Radio Network. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht. Happy Aloha Monday following a very, it was a very emotional roller coaster type of weekend if you are a University of Hawaii athletics fan of multiple sports, because we will get to a bunch of stuff coming up today. Obviously, we'll get to football in just a little bit, recapping that massive win for the Rainbow Warriors, as now they get to enjoy and relax this well-deserved bye week that they have after beating Air Force on the road, getting another significant road win under head coach Chimmy Chang, just the third road win under this coaching regime. So we'll talk about, get you our takeaways. There's definitely a lot of positive takeaways for sure from that game. Yeah, a little stuff here and there, but a win is a win, and that's all that matters. We'll take a look a little bit at the other Mountain West scores, and maybe the outlook has changed now in the Mountain West, and that vying for the top in the conference spot for UH football doesn't necessarily seem too far-fetched these days. We'll definitely get into some Rainbow Wahine volleyball. As I mentioned, that's kind of the down portion of the roller coaster. No official update on the health status of outside hitter Reid, as we saw her go down on Saturday with what appeared to be an ankle injury. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Had a good win to open up the Big West Conference season on Friday. But unfortunately, Saturday was definitely, if things weren't already bad with a couple of significant injuries to the outside, it just got worse potentially on Saturday. Also, women's soccer, though, came out with another point for their Big West Conference season, another 0-0 draw yesterday. So, hey, better than a loss. And as I told you guys earlier, or in our group chat, I was like, considering how that defensive and the back line looked in the non-con, I will take 0-0 any day, because it was looking a bit worrisome, but now they have clearly figured out their defense. So as long as they can shut out these teams, hey, you can walk away with at least a point every single time. Yes, offense will get going. We know it took a little while for the offense to get going last year, but you didn't lose. That's the main thing. So shout out again to the Rainbow Wahine soccer team as well. But Paul, I know Paul, again, we will have this recorded for you guys, but Paul is definitely donning his New York Jets t-shirt as the Jets play a little bit, or play later on today. We'll get into some NFL talk as well. But I am hoping for you, my friend, that you do have a very good football weekend entirely. Like you said, your one green team won. You said as long as one of them win, it's going to be a good weekend.
I have always said that.
Considering how I feel this morning about, like, wow, UH won, the Bears won, and the Packers didn't lose, but they didn't win either. So it felt like a good weekend for me. So I'm hoping it'll be just as great for you in this NFL week.
Well, I appreciate that. I also hope that, because I need those vibes, I think, because the first 3 weeks have just been rough. 2 last-second losses and obviously just a shellacking by the hand of the Bills. Obviously, the Dolphins have not been all that great either. I would like to see them win as well, but as you said, and as I have said in the past, I am not greedy. I am appreciative that one of my green teams won this weekend at the very least. one part of wearing the Jets shirt today. Rarely do I get to wear the Jets shirt on Monday because that I wear it when they win, or I wear it when they don't lose. So I can wear it after the bye week or today when they play on Monday Night Football. So that's part of the reason why I've got it on. I wish we had the YouTube working right now, just because I know all of our fans, they love hearing me talk about the Jets so much, but it's fine.
I know. And they just love seeing our beautiful faces. I wish we could see their beautiful faces all the time, but at least they get to see us and see the excitement that we have. One last thing before we get into UH football, I want to make sure we tell you guys that tonight we got some OIA girls volleyball action between Waipahu and Wahine. So be sure you guys tune in for that 7 o'clock p.m. approximate start. Waipahu 6-0, Wahine 6-1. The only loss for Wahine is to an undefeated Roosevelt, which happened in 5 sets in their last game. And Waipahu has not played Roosevelt yet. So you got a couple of top teams in the OIA Division II girls volleyball race, and we'll have that action for you guys tonight. Chaz Mihara and Kara McLean with the call. You can listen in on Hawaii Sports Radio Network and hawaiisportsradio.com. All right, now getting into that football game, Paul. I mean, there is so much to dissect, and it feels really good to talk about wins, obviously, but there are just so many losses. There are just so many high points. When I was looking through the post-game notes and all of these different accolades, and speaking of accolades, shout out to Micah Alihado and Kansei Matsuzawa getting Mountain West Players of the Week and Special Teams and Freshman of the Week from Micah Alihado. So just adding to just their performance that they had on Saturday, in which Hawaii coming out with that 44-35 win over Air Force. Again, a much-needed road win for the Rainbow Warriors. And probably before we get into some of the highlights, just the quick team stat takeaways. I think the most shocking, for lack of a better term, thing that happened in that game came in, was that the second quarter, in which Hawaii, the time of possession in the entire game, Hawaii actually controlled the clock. Just about 37 and a half minutes for Hawaii to Air Force's 22 and a half minutes. Again, Air Force is a team that normally controls the time of possession, which was one of our concerns, or something that Tab does things to watch out for in this game. But Hawaii, they controlled that time of possession against Air Force, which was incredible to really recognize or to watch, because they had that drive that started in the first quarter, at the end of the first quarter, and then it was insane. I'm just like, are we still? Because remember, we were talking about it too, when it was that, I think it was that Stanford game, where it's like, man, is Hawaii even going to have a possession? And Hawaii was the one to do that to Air Force, leaving Air Force with under 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter, where they ended up having just a couple possessions in that second quarter and going into the halftime. So that was very, very significant. And I think as it was happening, you kept checking the time, realizing that this drive is still going for UH. That is still going. And kudos to Timmy Chang. And obviously, you're never going to call a perfect game. I was a little, just to start the game off, that run play for Micah, the first snap of the game, I'm like, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And then it was like, okay, we're okay.
Everything's okay.
Everything's okay. Everything's fine. But that second quarter drive, or I guess the drive that started in the first quarter into that second quarter, that resulted, at least in points, not a touchdown, but hey, Kansei Matsuzawa field goal. Again, Kansei still remains perfect now, 16 for 16. New school record of the same season of consecutive field goals made. New Mountain West record of this season of field goals made. But they won a game. And Paul, they listened to me. You just got to score more than the other team. That's always the game plan.
If they would listen more often to that game plan, I feel like they would win more often. I don't know. No, this was such a fun day and a fun game, and it continues what I think has been a really impressive first half of the 2025 season for the Rainbow Warriors, where this is, I mean, in back-to-back weeks, and honestly, in each game you have, or each win, I should say, you have a moment of this where they kind of do what the other team wants to do better than the other team. And even last week's loss, think about how we were talking, if you told me Hawaii had a better rushing day than Fresno State, I'd call you a liar. And yet they go out there, and it's part of what gave them an opportunity to win that game. And then in this one, like you said, an Air Force-like possession in that middle portion of the first and second quarter. It's a 24-play drive. It sets a new program record. It was 2 plays short of the national record, or I guess the FBS record for longest drive ever, which is 26 plays. You guys will never believe it. It was Navy versus New Mexico. It's crazy how service academies are always involved in these games. But it just continues a lot of the good that we've seen, and it returned a lot of what we have been curious about, right? Going into this past weekend, we were asking, what happened to this offense that we thought was going to be so high-flying and phenomenal? And now, all of a sudden, you've got an offense that shows, hey, we can put up a lot of points. We can do quite a bit of good things. How about Jackson Harris? In a time where you need players to step up, with Nick Senecal being out for the past, 4 games now, full 4 games, it needed to be somebody. And I don't want to brush over Brandon White either, finally getting into the end zone, putting a hell of a move on the defender, stop, stick, and go. Did get lit up a little bit later, but that's okay. Happens to the best of us. But Jackson Harris, the possession receiver type vibes, the ability for Micah to just kind of throw the ball up to him and have him win a jump ball is something that I think I always wanted from like an Alex Perry in the past couple of years, a 6'5" former basketball player, like all-state basketball player with leaping ability and whatever. This is what I wanted. Somebody who you can throw 50-50 balls to and they become 60-40 balls. They become 75-25 balls. And that was the case on some of these receptions for Jackson Harris. He goes for 7 catches for 144 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Had another touchdown called off the board during that 24-play drive due to a holding penalty. He was outstanding, and it just excites me more for what can happen when you add Nick Senecal back into the group, because you've seen not just Jackson Harris step up, but guys like Tama Uliata get more and more time. You've seen Blaise Kamoku start to show out, and you've seen Carson Papunu, who, by the way, has just very quietly been a steady player for the past 2-3 seasons for the Rainbow Warriors. He's not flashy. He doesn't do a ton, but he picks up a couple of first downs, it seems, every single game. Seems that he catches pretty much everything that comes his way. He does whatever is asked of him. Like, those are the type of players that you need in a room that does have stars, because not everybody is going to get the ball, or as much as I'm sure they would like to. But man, when you do get the ball and you make those plays, that's how it's the difference in the game, right? Think about how awesome Hawaii was on third down. A lot of those were Tama Uliata or Carson Papunu or Blaise Kamoku putting their body on the line and just kind of pushing forward for the extra few yards. It was an awesome day for the wide receivers, and we'll talk about the defense as well, but I just wanted to give that shout out because I was very, very happy with that performance.
Well, also just the overall shout out. I mean, the guy that has to get the ball to the receivers, right? Micah Alihado. And there were not one, but at least 2 instances that I can remember completely and that I counted where, and even the announcers of that broadcast were very impressed by Micah in the sense that he is, so like, obviously, as we know, he's a left-handed quarterback. He is running and scrambling to his right, and then almost towards the sideline, and then flings it with his left hand to find Jackson Harris. And if you guys have ever tried to throw a football or anything, that takes some talent. Normally, it's, I guess, quote unquote, easier if you are running to your strong hand. So if he's running towards the left and he's trying to throw it because you're throwing it inward. But for him to kind of be able to like turn his body and his arm to just hit on the target, Jackson Harris on the sideline, like, that's impressive for this quarterback. Amongst other things he does.
Really, really crazy,
Micah
awesome
Ilahada,
throws.
like, he just proved why he's QB1 for everyone that wanted to replace him against Fresno State. But again, like, and I hope And I brought up the fact that, like, hey, how about we just score more than the other team? Just because it was very reminiscent about old school or the glory days of football, if you guys remember, and I'm sure a lot of people do. Hawaii was always going over. Like, the total was always over in that game. And when they would play really good teams with really good offenses, sometimes it's difficult to stop the other team.
Sometimes you just have a shootout.
The triple option is a tough offense to stop all the time, right? Like,
it's built to do what it did.
You're not going to hold this triple option team, like, unless you're maybe old school SEC defense. Like, it's hard to, like, completely shut out a triple option offense, especially Air Force, who is very disciplined, who runs it, like, probably the best of the best. And their quarterback, I mean, I was getting a little worried.
He was awesome. Like,
Zarka,
he really.
Yeah, Zarka was impressive. But again, you're not going to shut this team out. So you just score more points than the other team. And that is what Hawaii did. And again, it's very reminiscent to old school where, hey, the game was always going over like 55 because Hawaii would put up at least high 30s and the other team would put up high 20s. And that's just how the game would go. Or if they play a lesser opponent, it would be like 50 something to like 17, which again, once Hawaii can figure out this type of offense and they're not playing a Fresno State defense. So say it with me, folks. I'm glad, I feel validated that, hey, that Fresno State defense that Micah Alihado and this Hawaii offense had to see, they were not, Air Force was nowhere near, and we said this last week, they were nowhere near the same caliber as that Fresno State defense that we saw. So I said it last week, this was the game where the offense could prove itself. And that is exactly what they did. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we will get into, or we will stick with Hawaii football and get into some of the highlights, especially the team highlights, and take a look at the Mountain West and what else happened there. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Bracht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. And again, still trying to figuring out our live stream. Unfortunately, it just didn't want to work today. So, again, it's just this is what happens. You know, I couldn't have a perfect football weekend entirely. So it was just our live stream wants to be down. But don't worry, we are recording things for you guys so you will be able to watch the show on demand if we can't figure it out throughout the time. So we got that going for you guys. Sticking with our UH football conversation, I wanted to get into some of the major post-game notes. I know we were kind of sprinkling it on and some of the good things that happened in that game, but a lot of highlights in this, as we mentioned, with Kansei Matsuzawa setting the new Mountain West record for consecutive field goals made to start a season, surpassing UNLV's Daniel Gutierrez, which was a mark of 15 back in 2022. So, and of course, Kansei sits alone with a new UH record of 16 straight field goals made to start the season, surpassing Rigoberto Sanchez, who made 13 back in 2016. He is second in the longest streak in school history with 17 that dates back to last season, where Jason Elam, you know, that guy that was pretty good for UH and played in the NFL, Jason Elam holds the record with 20 straight made during the 1989 season. So it's a record that obviously is not easy to come by, both to start a season and the overall straight field goals made. 2016 again by Rigoberto Sanchez, and then 1989 by Jason Elam. And some of the team notes, we mentioned it with Hawaii coming out with that huge 44-35 win over Air Force. UH's 44 points were the most in the Timmy Chang era, and most since UH's 50-45 win over Colorado State in its 2021 home finale. It was also UH's most points on the road since a 45-31 win at New Mexico in 2019. The 535 yards of offense was a season high and the third highest total under Timmy Chang. UH, and we talked about this in this previous segment, set a new program record with a 24-play drive in the second quarter. The drive was 2 plays short, as Paul mentioned, of the FBS record, which was 26 plays between Navy and New Mexico in 2004,
Those
which is
service
wild.
academies.
Yeah.
Always
so again,
involved.
24 plays, 80 yards, 12 minutes, and 14 seconds to eat up majority of the clock. Hey, time of possession against this Air Force squad, and that's you use their game for yourself. And we mentioned it earlier, and I want to give some credit to Kyle as well. You just score first, That's what UH did. They were able to capitalize. They scored, and they were able to make Air Force continue to play from behind so that they weren't giving the luxury of let's just eat the clock, let's just run the ball. They had to go to the passing game, which is where we want to talk about now, because that's where it got a little worrisome. If you told me that Hawaii was going to get torched in the secondary by a run-heavy team, I probably wouldn't have believed you entirely. So it was looking a bit worrisome, right? They were able to score like in less than a minute, like a couple of touchdowns and whatnot, and you're like, oh no. Is it gonna be one of these games, right? And
it had one of those feelings where you're like, oh no, it's the pit in your stomach that you get. At least you and I get, because we're Jets and Bears fans, so we've seen disaster strike in the fourth quarter far too often.
But fortunately, it did not happen that way. And want to note, you noted Nick Seneco being out this game, but also Dejon Benton, who we gave so much praise in the last game. He was also out. That it was announced. It came out with the final injury or status update report on that Saturday before game time. Then you were already thinking like, oh man, in a run-heavy offense,
well, that was
you
my
kind
thought.
of need your like one of your best D linemen that really showed up and showed out in the previous game. Fortunately, Hawaii, and like I mentioned, a disciplined team, a good, solid team, a triple option, you're not going to shut them out. So it's not like entirely shocking, and I don't want to harp too much on the defense, because if there's any guy that I trust for the defensive game planning, it would be Dennis Thurman. And, you know, it's just when you're trying to, I'm sure they prepped for a lot of running, so you kind of get sucked into looking for the run. There were times when I know like the linebackers were almost being really patient, and I'm yelling at my TV like, get him, talking about Zarka, like, get him, why is no one getting, but you're really trying to be patient because you are preparing for that run heavy game.
Yeah,
it's a lot. So I know a lot of people maybe are like, man, how did we give up so many points? Again, the main thing is we scored more than the other team and we won the game, and that's why I don't want to harp too much on the defense. It was surprising to see the secondary again give up so many big plays, but at the same time, you know what, they did what they needed to do, only allowed maybe like a handful of explosive plays on the ground. And yeah, it's still, a win is a win.
It's funny because I'm going to say it. I really did think this was a pretty good defensive performance, all things considered. Like, it's frustrating to give up that many points. It's frustrating, obviously, to give up the explosive plays that they did. And we did luck out a couple of times. There is a massive 4th and 2 that on a busted coverage that nobody had. It was nothing but open space
Butterfingers.
and a touchdown waiting for it. And instead it drops in a turnover on downs. That one, I've continued to thank the higher football powers for that one. But overall, the defense, I thought, was well prepared. They didn't shoot themselves in the foot consistently. I was really frustrated. Actually, there was a second time that I was really frustrated. There was a 3rd and 21 that they allowed a conversion on. That was ridiculous to me. That can't happen. But you know me, and listeners have heard me say this time and time again. You have to get off the field on 3rd down, whether it's high school, whether it's college, whether it's professional. When you get 3rd and long, you have to capitalize on those situations as a defense. So that was frustrating. But otherwise, explosives are going to happen, especially when you have so many eyes in the backfield. Like you mentioned, you have to prepare for the pitch, for the option play, multiple options in the triple option. Does that mean there weren't mistakes? Does that mean guys can't be better? Does that mean coverages weren't blown? There weren't slips? There weren't better tackling that could have happened at some moments? Sure, of course. But all things considered, I thought it was a really good tackling effort. I thought things were communicated exceptionally well. And for a day that you were without some of your better players defensively, I thought guys who were put into position to make plays really did. And that's all that matters. Like you said, you win football games, the rest doesn't matter all that much. Also, it's a lot easier to look at the tape and teach it after a victory rather than being like, man, we lost that shootout. Now let's watch how we gave up 50 points.
Exactly.
Like, I'm just glad it wasn't that as well. Also, they won the turnover battle for the first time.
Yes.
Like, that was pretty, or not first time, but didn't turn the ball over at all, and they had an interception. It was nice to win that. It just needed
also, penalty, if we can talk about maybe penalty battles. Hawaii won that too.
Dude.
4 penalties for only 17 yards compared to Air Force's 5 penalties for 32 yards. I'm like, again, if we're sitting here talking about the only thing is that, like, hey, they gave up a few explosive plays in the air, which was like kind of, again, I wasn't expecting that considering a lot of this is a run-heavy offense. Again, about 75% of their offense for Air Force is on the ground. Other than that, like you said, won the turnover battle, won the penalty yardage battle against an Air Force team who is always very disciplined. I mean, I think the first penalty didn't come until like the second quarter sometimes, like late in the second quarter.
Pretty sure the first penalty was on that Jackson Harris TD that got called back. Like, I'm pretty sure that was it. And I'm not trying to, like, harp on it. It really is just like they played really, really clean football. The defense did an exceptional job not holding on and not giving away free first downs. Like, when they made tackles behind the line of scrimmage and made Air Force play from behind the sticks, a lot of times it ended up being exactly what they needed it to be. I was very pleased with this victory, and it goes back to what we were saying on Friday, where going into a bye week, you just couldn't lose this game. I totally understand why it was possible that they would lose, but I was not willing to be like, oh, it's okay to lose this one. The vibes would have been really, really bad. It kind of resets you after what was an exceptional non-conference to start 0-2 in Mountain West play, Big West play. Sorry, jeez, I'm crow.
And again, like we've been, like a lot of people have been saying, was going to be really difficult on the road. So if Hawaii wants to be at the top of the Mountain West / qualify for a bowl game, it was all about winning your home games.
Well,
so
once
I
you
said
lost
it.
one.
Yeah, I said it last week. I was like, hey, this is a time to kind of balance out the potential of like losing that home game, and now you're right back where you wanted to be because you made it up on the road. Again, just getting the 3rd win on the road under head coach Timmy Chang.
Also, just the fast start. That was something that we talked about last week, where a big way to win this football game was playing from in front. And Hawaii played from either even or in front the entire game. They scored first, only the second time this season they scored on their opening possession, and then they answered after that drive that was a pretty loud response by Air Force to make it 7-7. This team was ready to go on the road from the first whistle, first kick, first snap, and that hasn't been the case for the most part in the first 3 years under Timmy Chang. Arizona, I'm willing to kind of write off as a P4 team, weird first game of the year, whatever.
Micah got banged up. Luke had to come on with no game prep. Yeah.
This was a very encouraging sign on the road, the preparedness that this team had, and then the ability to pull out a victory on the road against a disciplined team with a very veteran head coach. This is a quality win for UH. I understand a 1-3 Air Force team doesn't look like a quality win. I promise you, this is a building block for the program that continues to stack them.
Yeah, and again, in altitude, Air Force, disciplined team, all of that. It's win is a win, and I'm so happy that the guys now get to, again, relax on their bye week. And then they're going to have a tough opponent in Utah State coming up, which we will obviously get to when we can. Before we get to go to the break, though, I wanted to mention the one thing because we talked about it earlier. Again, you're never going to call a perfect game if you are the head coach or whoever the play caller is. But Timmy Chang, like, credit to you, Timmy, because that end of game clock management was chef's kiss. It was like, and it was funny listening to Spencer Tillman, though, in a broadcast team who did very well. I mean,
they were awesome.
Even Tammy replied, shout out Tammy, that to my Twitter post, that like, wow, I really enjoyed this broadcast team. They got the names correctly. They were saying Hawai'i. I was like, wait, what? They were so incredible. They did such a great job.
Respect my GOAT, Eric Collins. That's the Charlotte Hornets play-by-play guy, the one who goes, hum diddly dee, LaMelo. I love him. So it was funny because I heard him, and I'll let you finish the story. I'll be really quick with this. I heard his voice, and I was like, why do I know this? Because I didn't get a chance to see right at the start where they give the names, and I'm like, this sounds just like the Charlotte broadcaster. And then on the rewatch, I was like, well, no, hum diddly dee. It is the Charlotte. Eric Collins rocks. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, but incredible job running out the clock. If you're Timmy Chang, it was perfectly executed, right? Hawaii
did run up the score a little bit.
That was the part. Yeah. Hawaii only up by 6. Again, 6. So less than a touchdown. And we had already seen on previous possessions that Air Force was able to score a touchdown really quickly on Hawaii. So Spencer Tillman, again, they were phenomenal up until Spencer Tillman and your guy, obviously, well, you could tell he was like, no, dude, what are you talking about? Like, don't do that.
And so I also thought, I was like, maybe he got himself to a point where he also realized that he's like, oh no, I'm wrong. Like, I'm being ridiculous. But like at that point, he had to like try and hammer it home.
Because he is like, all right, so to take you guys through the scenario, again, Hawaii is up 41-35, right? When that final offensive drive for them started at like the just under 4 minutes. They go down, they run a couple of plays, yada, yada, yada. And then the clock starts ticking down. Again, only up by 6. So clearly, you need to make sure Air Force doesn't get the ball back with much time left. And Spencer Tillman starts saying, like, oh, Hawaii just should turn the ball over on downs and give it back to Air Force and trust your defense. And I'm like,
most times I would understand because I do trust our defense.
But the fact that he was like, and now you're just running out the score if you're just going to put it in there.
Silly.
Like, one possession.
I think he was just trying
to can win on a. I'm like, that's not running up the score if the other team can beat you with a touchdown.
I think he was trying to give praise to Timmy as like a good guy for just instead of punching in another touchdown, they were going to like kneel out as much time as they could. And then he realized his point was like at a ridiculous point, and you're like, oh no, like I can't do anything.
Keep going.
Though I do understand there is something to the like, if you do turnover on downs and it's like at the 2-yard line and like they got to go, like I do understand in a sense where it's like if your defense can't get it, like play prevent, they have no timeouts left, keep everything in front of, like realistically you should still be able to win that, but also just take the points. Make it much simpler.
And again, they didn't try to go for the touchdown because if they scored too fast on the touchdown, it gives you less control of the time of the clock. And they ran it down far enough, took a timeout, yada, yada, yada.
No, it was beautiful.
Conce hit the field goal. Another chip shot, again, extends his field goal consecutive streak, all of that stuff. So then now Hawaii goes up at least 2 scores. And then Air Force obviously only has like 34 seconds on here to try to do something. And it's not enough, but Hawaii at least is safely in front. And we're all good. So
I think
it was just hilarious because I was just like, I was very happy with what you kind of noticed it really quickly on what Timmy was trying to do, and I thought it was brilliant. Yeah. It was brilliant. And same thing, I was like, don't need to go for the touchdown, just trust Conce, yada yada yada. Give Air Force the least amount of time for the football. And but it just added to in a game that felt like, all right, we need a little bit of a laugh. Thank you, Spencer Tillman.
It was a good giggle at the very end. I think it was Michael. Michael tweeted out, I think, pretty sure every single one of Hawaii's games that they've won, Conce has hit 3 or more field goals in. I'm pretty sure that was Michael that put that out there.
Also, the fact that we didn't get any rushing touchdowns until yesterday or the other day.
He did also call that. I hate giving Michael the credit, but I will give him the credit on that one because he called both of those and he put both of them out into the universe, the ether.
All right, Michael, you got this one. All right, and we need to take a break, so we'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den, Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, and HawaiiSportsRadio.com. Normally streaming live on our YouTube channel, but it does not want to work with us today, so you will be able to watch the show on demand. We are recording, so you can go watch it a little later on our YouTube channel, and be sure to like and subscribe. But hopefully we can figure things out again, so we can maybe in between the show, we still got more than an hour left of this show. We're still efforting trying to get us on live, but it's okay. We're hanging out with you guys, and we appreciate you for hanging out with us. Feel free to text in at 808-888-KG1. That's 808-888-5481 if you want to get in on the conversation. we've been talking a lot about that UH football win. We will get back to some UH football and some NFL talk. Also take a look at some of the other things that happened in the Mountain West. We have just a few minutes, so I did want to at least touch on Rainbow Wahine volleyball for just a little bit. It's just as if things couldn't get worse for this Rainbow Wahine team. It just did on Saturday. Again, after starting off the Big West Conference season with a massive 5-set win against UC Riverside Friday night. It was glorious. They earned that game. It was awesome to see. I mean, Adriana Arquette had a massive game that day. It was the offense was just, they were trying different looks. I mean, you had, again, Bree Gunderson like hitting outside, hitting from the back row. Like it was awesome. And then UC Davis, quick turnaround. Obviously, these other teams like Riverside and Davis, they do have a longer time to almost, even though they have a long travel, they don't play the back-to-back game.
It's an interesting balance, isn't
right?
it?
Yeah, you got to deal with the travel, but you can have a longer time off when you come out to Hawaii. UC Davis comes in, a team that is always going to be a physical team that is on paper better than UC Riverside, and especially like some of the, before the game started, talking to some of the volleyball experts, in my opinion, they were saying that this is going to be a very physical team. It's going to be difficult already for UH against this UC Davis squad. That first set was very competitive. Davis taking it 25-3. Hawaii coming back, taking the second set 25-23. And then it was just all downhill from there for the Rainbow Wahine. And as if it couldn't just be the physicality, you can see the fatigue catching up to UH. And then you lose your outside, your third one that you lose this season in Chalet Reid, of what appeared to be an ankle injury when she went up for a hit, came down, and her ankle or her toe essentially landed on the stanchion. So it kind of bent her leg back. And if you guys have any experience with that kind of stuff, it can be anything from just a scary tweak of the ankle to something really, really serious. So she was on crutches at the end of the night. We will see precautionary stuff, what happens. There has no been official word on what it is. There technically hasn't even been an official announcement about Stella Ademi either. The only official announcement we received was Tally Hawkus, who was out for that shoulder injury. So it was, like I said, it was a roller coaster of emotions. The 5-set win over Riverside. The morning we saw Hawaii football win. Go to the stand and you watch this UC Davis game, and then it looks like a competitive game, and then it just all goes downhill from there. And again, we wish Chalet Reid all of the best and hope it's not that serious. But even then, I mean, if it is, if it isn't, it's just a lot for this team to figure out. And what do you do with that setter position? Now that I know Billy Hall's write-up yesterday said there's only they technically only have 2 outsides that Robin is confident in to put out there.
They only have 2, I think, that are like listed true outsides that are left between, so now and one of them's a freshman.
Yeah. So now do you move Adriana full-time outside and Audrey Hollis in the setter position?
I lied. She's a sophomore.
So there's a lot for this Rainbow Wahine team to figure out, and to do it now that we're already started the Big West, going on the road to play CSU Bakersfield and CSUN this weekend. It's a tough one. It's there. This is as if we weren't already talking about adversity through the first few weeks. This is just another one.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because Chalet was having an awesome start to the year, or I guess awesome year. I should just say we're about midway through at this point as we've started conference play. It's disappointing because obviously this team was expected to have growing pains. We were hoping they could avoid the on-court pains. And this is where it's no longer like the youth struggle. This is like oh man, did we come into the year with enough depth? Did we fill the team up with enough depth on the outside? And those types of conversations. I'm going to give you my positive poll on Stella for a second, just for the matter of, you're right, we haven't gotten an update yet. My hope is that if it was like overtly serious, and I'm not saying that she's not seriously injured, that's not what I'm getting at, but season-ending levels, my thought process is maybe you get an announcement on that, so perhaps they see her back by the second half of the conference season. Like that's my positive Paul thing on that. My hope is the same, obviously, for Chalet. It looked brutal. Same thing with Stella. And it's just kind of a snake-bitten season at this point where Tali goes down, Stella goes down, Chalet goes down, and you just hope for the best health for all of these young women because you never want to put players into positions where they're more likely to get hurt. And sometimes that's what happens when you have too many injuries as well, right?
Yeah, and they're, like I said, figuring out their offense. Now if you have to put Bree outside, now all of a sudden where we talk about how Emiliana Sylvester, thought she didn't have to jump very often or as much as last season, might have to go back to how things were. And I do not envy the coaches whatsoever to try to figure out how you come back from this in terms of how you run your offense when you were still trying to figure it out in the first place. The setting situation has to be figured out. Again, they shall remain nameless, but a volleyball expert I definitely trust said a lot of it has to rely on the setting position because it's just the ball placement, right? It was like Chalet Reid was they were talking about how the fatigue for Chalet could have been getting, and Chris McLaughlin mentioned this on the broadcast.
C-Mac said something about it.
It almost happened the same time because I was watching it with someone who, it's like, and he was actually saying it around the same time when Chris McLaughlin was saying it about how Chalet Reid's jump form was changing, so that could have been a little bit of fatigue. So her landing on the stanchion, it was a mix between some of the setting placement. And again, Adriana, this is her first season being like technically a full-time setter, and that's what you run into when you don't have someone like how you had a veteran setter like Kate Lang, right? Where it's like it was consistent on how the ball was. Sometimes you would have to correct how high it got set. But when you don't have a setter that has as much experience, some of these things happen where it's like they either get set too close to the pin. A lot of the offense was running through Chalet Reid. Obviously, as we saw, it's similar. We talk about Miley Salang from HPU had mentioned this about how you are the quarterback of the team when you are the setter. And a lot of times, just like quarterbacks, just like we saw Micah Alihado and Jackson Harris, you have your favorite receiver or your favorite hitter. So obviously Adriana felt very comfortable consistently going to Chalet Reid, and for good reason. We saw what she can do. But if it's always running that way, but the setting is inconsistent, we saw a lot of miss hits, missed time hits, sometimes too low. It was a lot. So that was kind of always going to be the struggle. But unfortunately, like I said, like Chris McLaughlin, like the person I was talking to said, a lot of it was starting to, you could already, the volleyball experts anyways, I could barely notice. But when you talk to the experts, they were like, oh yeah, you could start to see her jump change, the setting being inconsistent where she was too close, even with Stella being too close to the net where she landed awkwardly. And it's just unfortunate. And that's volleyball. But now how do you move on? Again, Adriana showed what she can do. She showed extremely so much what she can do on Friday. But now how do you tweak it enough to the fact or to the point where, hey, we got to still go out there and win games because back to back Big West Conference tournament champions is slowly starting to creep away.
Yeah. Can I be honest? I'm a little concerned about getting to the conference tournament because only the top 6 make it. The top 4 are really, really strong in the Big West this year in terms of just like, and you kind of saw that through non-con. I thought Hawaii could get through the growing pains of being young. I don't know if they can get through being young and losing so much of their top level hitting talent because it's not that they don't have good players still. They still have outstanding middle blockers. They still have, Victoria Leyva is phenomenal. We've seen Adriana Arquette grow into this well-rounded player who's able to kind of be this Swiss Army knife. Audrey Hollis getting better and better, and she's been useful. But the name of the game are the people who get the points. And a lot of times those are your outside hitters, and you've lost, quite frankly, your top 3. It's hard for any team to win if that's going to happen to you.
All right, we got to take a break, collect ourselves in our sadness. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and on demand wherever you get your podcasts, and on demand likely on our YouTube channel. So we are recording this. Unfortunately, we're having troubles going live like we do every single Monday, but hopefully we can figure it out next week. But you guys will be able to watch our YouTube show on demand and kind of watch us freak out how we can't figure out the YouTube live stream. I think I have part of it recorded when we're like, I can't figure it out. Anyways, so whatever. Thank you guys for tuning in with us. We were going to get into one thing, but we only have a few minutes left, so I don't want to dive into that particular topic. But coming up in hour number 2, we will get back into a few more UH football takeaways as they came out with that big road win against Air Force. We'll also talk some NFL, of course, as I had a very good weekend, and Paul will hopefully be able to enjoy the show tomorrow and have a good weekend with the Jets and Dolphins going at it later on today. So we'll get to some NFL. We also didn't get into the other scores in the Mountain West and how things maybe could fare for Hawaii down the stretch of this Mountain West season, where even if we're floating with the top of the conference, I think will be exciting for a lot of fans, especially with that UNLV game potentially being a vie for maybe a top 3, top 2 spot in the conference, which will be very interesting. But one thing that we did was announced was Bad Bunny. Headlining the Super Bowl. And it was kind of funny that I think it's like last week, Paul, I like manifested and our studio is bugged where things just came out when we were talking about it.
I coined the phrase for you a long time ago that you're Kustradamus. Like, you just have this innate ability to look into the future and just kind of predict it. I don't know. It is truly, truly impressive. You did... I'll say call it. I'll say you call it. Yeah. You know, I gave Michael credit earlier in this hour. I can give you the credit on this one as well. So, 2 for 2 for our HSRN team.
Yeah, if you guys missed it last week, Friday, I think, when we were talking about how the NFL like totally messed up getting Taylor Swift, and I was basically saying who is like close to being a global superstar, and I'm talking global, currently Earth. This time as we speak in music, and I was like, Bad Bunny? I was like, maybe that's I say Bad Bunny because my good friends, 2 of my best girlfriends are huge Bad Bunny fans, where they went all the way to Puerto Rico to watch his concert. Like, I'm like, that sounds like something a Swiftie would do, right? You go to another country just to watch like this concert. He was streaming the concert streamed on Amazon, or Amazon Prime or whatever, Amazon Music. So I'm like, that's a guy that's another current artist that's maybe a global superstar that can get reach from outside of the country during the Super Bowl. And then when it comes out, I was like, bam! Jay-Z. I told you, Jay-Z.
You were pretty spot on with that one. I saw Freddie Freeman, I guess, was on the New Heights podcast, and he was talking about his son, Charlie, picking his walk-up music, and apparently Charlie loves Bad Bunny. So Freddie always walks up to Bad Bunny, but Charlie also doesn't know what Bad Bunny is saying.
Nobody does.
Just likes the music. And apparently Charlie picked one song, and Freddie looked up the lyrics, and he's like, I'm a married man with 3 kids. I cannot be walking up to the plate to this song. So he's like, sorry, buddy, we got to pick another one.
Sorry, Bad Bunny. Moving on. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back for hour number 2 on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. So if you guys have anything to text in, you can reach us at 808-888-KGU1. That's 808-888-5481. Well, since I had a great weekend of football and Paul is not crashing out yet because his team plays later today, let's talk some NFL.
Tomorrow is going to be must listen. So one way or another, it's going to be must listen.
Let's talk some NFL because, of course, the Chicago Bears coming out with a win. Woohoo! And again, I had that emotional hedge as they played the Las Vegas Raiders, and it was a close one. So naturally, your girl was still stressed out to the very ending with the Chicago Bears game. But being able, a win is a win. A win is a win in Las Vegas. And sure enough, the crowd was definitely at least 50% Chicago Bears fans in Allegiant Stadium. But 25-24 over Vegas. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. Again, not entirely perfect, as nothing will be. but a win is a win. And the craziest thing, what a Sunday night football game as well, where I was like, man, the Cowboys. Oh, the Packers will probably
everybody just had a good time.
The Packers will easily beat the Cowboys, and I think all of us were in agreement with our quick picks that we picked Green Bay to cover. I think it was like 6.5 and everything like that. And Cowboys.
I'm going through now. Shh.
Cowboys kept it close and kept it even, quite literally, where the Packers and Cowboys, a 40-40 tie that ended overtime. Each team only being able to kick a field goal in OT. And we got a tie for the NFL contest. And again, if there's anything that's, okay, it's not as good as the Packers losing if you're a Bears fan or a fan of any of the teams in the NFC North. You know what? We will take the tie because at least that starts evening out the standings, especially the Bears won. The Vikings lost, woohoo, to the Steelers, 24-21. The Lions, unfortunately, looking like they are not missing Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn very much, Paul. So... Unfortunately for, again, the Bears fan in me, they were able to have a convincing win over the Browns, who, again, the Browns beat the Packers, but the Lions 34-10 over the Browns. So this is going to be very interesting for the NFC North. But Cowboys fans, I'm curious if Cowboys fans are okay, and I guess the game was entertaining for them. I'm sure if you're a Cowboys fan, you're not exactly thinking you're going to beat this Green Bay Packers team who seems like who is up there in terms of odds and favorites to definitely win the NFC North. Now it doesn't look so much the same, but also compete in the playoffs and all of that stuff. And the Cowboys, after getting annihilated by the Bears, now, Paul, I am loving this NFL season and the parity that we have right now because it is not a 1-to-1 ratio on, oh, this team beat that team and this team. So it makes my heart a bit happy because as I had mentioned with the Vikings beating the Bears and then the Falcons, who were a very sad Falcons team at one point, beat the Vikings handedly. And now the Bears are going to win. The Bears are going to the playoffs. I love the NFL. Today, anyways. It
has been such a wonky season. One, the Bills gave me the biggest scare of my life. I thought it was the biggest layup ever picking them for the quick picks. You know what I'm saying. For Survivor,
yeah.
Thank God I don't have money on that. How many people do you think lost last night on Circa Survivor? Because I did get that tweet notification from them. Ties or losses in Circa Survivor. Mm-hmm. So I wonder how many people lost last night in that one.
It actually wasn't as massive as you would think because that would be a difficult game to really rely on for your Survivor.
Absolutely.
Like, I did not even consider that game when in our little pool that we have. I went with the Patriots, which was a very easy and no stress type of win. And yeah.
See, I thought the Patriots would win that game. I didn't think the Patriots would Bryce Young looked, all right, I'm ready to leave type of Bryce Young. I don't know. That one was so strange. But you're right. The parity has been awesome this year. I mean, if I told you a month ago that the Ravens would finish September 1-3, would you believe me? The Chiefs finish at 2-2. The Chargers would lose their first game, not to any of their divisional opponents, but to a rookie and Jackson Dart and the Giants. I mean, there have been so many fun, different storylines. The Colts coming up short against the Rams. The Rams looking like a powerhouse. The Niners losing their first game to the Jaguars. The Jaguars, are they the team to beat in the AFC South? I mean, the Texans finally on the board. Are the Titans going to win a game this season? Storylines aplenty. I can keep going.
Don't get me started on the darn Titans. You know, this is me thinking and overthinking myself and my fantasy lineup because I was like, hey, let me get Joey Sly as my kicker this week because you know what? There's no struggle with weather. I'm sure the Titans won't get close enough to score a bunch of touchdowns. So you know what? There's going to be a lot of field goals for the Titans. There were, but they were missed.
There were, in fact, no made field goals by the Titans in that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if it makes you feel better, are you familiar with their rookie running back? The Texans rookie running back, Woody Marks. If not, I am. I picked him up in 3 or 4 fantasy leagues over the weekend, and I was like, oh, nice. This will be a good kind of stash. Maybe he'll start to take over midseason. It's not looking like Joe Mixon's going to come back. but I won't play him this week. Kui had 27 points. He had 27 points on my bench. And the worst part is the leagues that I'm winning in are the leagues that I don't have him. But the leagues that I'm losing in are the ones where he is sitting on the bench with 27 points. And it is Breece Hall, if you're listening, I need you to have a good game, please. I can't have my wife beat me in fantasy football 2 weeks in a row in 2 different leagues. Okay, please. I'm not a begging man, but I will beg. Please. 23 points. At least.
It's been a tough one for me. And again, another overthinking. Luckily the fantasy score to end off it with wasn't too crazy, but I was like, all right, Baker Mayfield and the Bucs against the Philadelphia Eagles who have a good defense, or Justin Herbert, who has been playing phenomenal, against the New York Giants. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to put in Justin. I've been starting Baker this whole time. I put in Justin Herbert thinking he's going to go off. He didn't. He at least got some points. And again, Baker didn't do significant, because my kicker didn't want to get any points, and other people, it's not like it would have made a difference. But I'm like, I couldn't even. What is going on? And the Bucs, they were in it with the Philadelphia Eagles. But again, like you mentioned earlier, if you would have told me that the Chargers would lose to the New York Giants, to a quarterback that was starting for the first time in his NFL career, what are we doing? Their first win, the Chargers' first loss. What are we doing?
And to be fair to the Chargers, they did lose Joe Alton this game.
Yes.
It's their second tackle that they've now lost, second starting tackle, I should say, and both of whom are, is it crazy to say, all-pro caliber tackles? I mean, Rashawn Slater was an all-pro last year, and Joe Alt. I mean, I love Joe Alt. I would take him in a heartbeat at left tackle, and I love Olu Fashanu, but Joe Alt is a monster. Luckily, it did seem that his season won't be done despite being carted off, at least according to the last report that I had seen. So that, for Chargers fans at least, would be nice to see him back in the second half of the season. Obviously, I think they can get through this middle portion without and eventually make the playoffs, and that's when you want to be the healthiest, obviously.
Oh, man. But it was nonetheless, like I said, this NFL season, you have no idea what's going to happen. And the odds indicate that they are completely kind of flipped from when not entirely flipped, but they have changed up significantly from what it was last week. Again, as we mentioned, the Ravens is kind of the surprise. And I think in our quick picks, I did pick the Ravens just because the Chiefs were looking like, all right, we don't know what the Chiefs are going to be. But then I did not expect, and if the Chiefs won, maybe one touchdown, yeah, okay, that happens. The Chiefs are at home, sure. 37-20 is not a final score I expected from the Chiefs and the Ravens game. What is happening
Perhaps
right now?
Xavier Worthy, by the way. Perhaps he might be pretty good at football. Perhaps he might be pretty important to the operation down there in Kansas City.
Yeah, and Taylor Swift called that. She was the one that was more excited she was more excited than Travis Kelce when they drafted. And she said, Xavier Worthy.
Clear ball knower.
But looking at the futures market, your Super Bowl favorites are the Bills at 4-1.
That feels right.
The Packers, though, still up there at 7-1, along with the Eagles. The Ravens now dropped off to your third shortest odds at 8-1, followed by the Lions at 9-1, and then the Chiefs are 10-1, with the Chargers still kind of up there at 16-1, along with the LA Rams. So Rams and Chargers, the two LA teams, have the same odds to win the Super Bowl at 16-1.
LA is a powerhouse football city.
Let's go. SoFi Stadium, baby.
Oh, man.
So it's kind of interesting to see, and we are just getting started. Again, it's just week 4 of the NFL. You still have majority of the season to go, but it's been fun so far, and I can get excited now because if anything plays out for the Bears like it did last season, oh, look, we're winning. And then we have that Commanders game, the Hail Mary from HE double hockey sticks that started the losing streak for the Chicago Bears last season. So I will enjoy all of these nice wins for Chicago while I still can. Paul, I hope you can enjoy the same this afternoon where you got you have the Dolphins and the Jets. The first game of, it's not really a doubleheader per se because it's only 1 hour earlier than the other game.
It's a doubleheader in a sense.
In a sense, but
I mean, realistically speaking, people are going to be begging to get off this Jets-Dolphins game. I mean, this is the ultimate slop fest. I love wins. I'd love to be a part of one.
The Burrowless Bengals doesn't exactly scream like exciting.
What, you don't want to watch Jake Browning versus Bo Nix? That doesn't tickle your football fancy, Ku'ule?
Ooh, it's a good thing I will be out and getting set up at Waipahu for girls volleyball because it's, yeah. So
shout out Waipahu.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll get back into some UH football. We got some text messages that came in as well. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Welcome back to Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ule Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and on demand wherever you get most podcasts, and on demand on our YouTube channel. All right, let's see. One thing, though, before we get it back into college football, I did want to note, because we didn't touch on it in that previous segment when we were talking about the NFL, that Malik Neighbors has been torn ACL. It has officially announced the Giants receiver. But I think more importantly and more significantly is the MetLife Stadium turf, man. The MetLife Stadium turf gets another one. Yahoo Fantasy Sports put this out. So here's the notable ACL and Achilles tears suffered at MetLife Stadium's turf since 2020 only. Nick Bosa, Solomon Thomas, both in 2020, Jabril Peppers in 2021, Wan'Dale Robinson in 2022, along with Sterling Shepard and Kyle Fuller in 2022, Aaron Rodgers, obviously, and now Malik Neighbors in 2025.
I'm pretty sure they're missing a few still, by the way.
Yeah, and that's significant.
Yeah. Because I sit here and, as a Jets fan, obviously, I watch a lot of football games played in that air conditioner of a stadium. It's not good, and it's something that players have spoken out about consistently, wanting grass fields. I'm gonna toot my Jets horn for a second. The Jets are all on board for grass fields. Mm-hmm. The only holdup right now, I guess, has been on the Giants side, because the Jets and the Giants split the stadium, so it has to be a total team decision. That being said, by the way, it did come out this morning. John Mara, the owner of the Giants, has been diagnosed with cancer. Wishing him all the best as he fights that terrible, terrible disease, and sending all the best to his family. But it's just been really, really brutal on players where, like you said, those are the significant players there. I can't even express to you how many different, whether it's special teamers or skill position players, depth guys go down due to Achilles injuries, due to ACL injuries, due to all of these different things, and all of them, it seems to come back to the turf. So it really is a big concern. It's been a talking point. It was a talking point back when Rodgers had torn his. It was before that, actually, because during the time when Bosa and Solomon Thomas tore theirs, also, Nick Bosa, again, dude, oh my God, horrible for the 49ers. I know it breaks Michael Oscaro's heart. But it's so clear at this point that it is a cause for injuries, because a lot of grass fields in the NFL, and I do understand grass fields are more difficult to upkeep.
Yeah.
There are
that's
so
been the
many
reasoning,
events.
right?
Yeah, so
the reasoning is because they have so many events in MetLife that it gets harder to, and that happened like in Chicago a couple of home games ago, where there was like their opening home game where the field was in horrible shape because Soldier Field, with their natural grass, was hosting a bunch of concerts and events in there, so it made the playing surface of the grass a bit slippery and all of this stuff. So MetLife Stadium and the powers that be have said, like, oh, we don't want to do it. One, it's expensive. Two, it's because they have so many other events in there that it'll ruin the grass and take a lot more upkeep, yada, 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 yada. But maybe they'll have a change in tone when it's like their young receiver, it's their actual player now. That is the one that goes down. Yeah. Because if you're the owners, right, like as insensitive as it sounds, you're like, well, it's not our player, so we don't really, I'm sure that's the conversation. They're like, well, now it's a guy that was looking to be one of your top guys, goes down, and hey,
probably
change to grass.
Is it a top 5 receiver in the league? Would have been top 5 receiver in the league.
On the
type
way
of
to
thing.
be.
Like, and I understand that he's on a losing team and all that stuff, but Malik Neighbors is just a dog. Like, and this is kind of what I say about Garrett Wilson, almost on crack type of thing, where he has dealt with some horrible quarterback play over his couple of seasons so far in the NFL, or, obviously season plus. And it doesn't matter. He just produces, and he gets better and better. I feel bad for Giants fans because I know a few of them, and I know how much they were looking forward to seeing Jackson Dart play, and I can imagine that excitement is a little dampered now without your young superstar wide receiver. And two, it just sucks. Like, injuries suck in general. So I do hope that this sparks another conversation where you have to look again at the MetLife turf and consider changing to grass, whether it's like half and half thing. Like, I don't know what you have to do, but there does have to be change. I do think that is the case.
All right, getting back into our college football. We got a text earlier. I think they maybe had missed when we were talking about this too in the hour number 1. Someone texted, legitimately heard the dumbest take on the FS1 broadcast. The color analyst was trying to say UH shouldn't kick the field goal and take a knee on 4th down and chance that Air Force wouldn't score in 20 seconds. The reason going up 2 possessions would rub it in and be disrespectful. Even the play-by-play guy was dumbfounded. Thankfully, we didn't listen to that nonsense. Yes, we talked about this in the hour or in hour number 1 that
very silly.
I was very surprised, and I gave Timmy Chang a lot of credit for how he managed that end of game, because you saw Air Force being able to, yes, score a touchdown, not just get to field goal range, but score a touchdown really quickly. And at that time, Hawaii was only up by 6. So math would be mathing that, hey, you don't want to give Air Force the ball with enough time left to score a touchdown and beat you. So the more so, I was the same as this texter, and we were talking about it like, what and up until that time, we said it before, like, they were calling a very good game. Like,
they were awesome.
Their pronunciation was great. I thought their takes throughout the game were great. And everything from, like, normally we hear Hawaii or something like that, and they were saying it Hawai'i. Like, it was very good. Hawaii. They were doing such a great job. And then just at the very, 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 very end, when the game really mattered and Hawaii needed that win, that take was just not great.
So confusing.
By Spencer Tillman. But you know what, Spencer? We will, because the rest of the game was so good by you guys, we will let it slide. And Hawaii came out with the win. Fortunately, yes, Timmy Chang had other plans, and he did exactly what he needed to do.
Fortunately, he ran up the score, and we
kicked the field goal, ran up the score. So unsportsmanlike, that Timmy Chang, man.
God.
Wanted to make sure that if Air Force scored a touchdown, that, hey,
the line
it wouldn't matter. Eat up enough clock,
guys.
all of that. Timeouts. You had timeouts left. It was beautiful. The ending was called beautifully. I was normally, like Paul had mentioned this, I think you said it off air, where as fans of the Bears and the Jets, you're so used to games being not managed correctly, especially down the. I mean, it happened to the Bears this season when you should have kicked the ball, and that might have been Cairo Santos, because Ben Johnson did say the message was to kick it out of bounds. But I'm like, oh my gosh. And I was like, I had no problem. I was like, this is wonderful. Like, Timmy Chang is doing the right thing.
Man.
Conte is going out there for a chip shot, made it again to remain perfect, and it was great. Air Force obviously didn't have time to do anything, and it was wonderful. It was a beautifully called game. Again, no one's ever going to be perfect, but when it mattered, Timmy made the right call. And yes, luckily he was not on the same wavelength as Spencer Tillman. Again, thank you for your service to all of these service men and women. And yes, you would, if there's any school you don't want to run up a score, it would be to the academy schools. But the 6 points, even if Timmy opted to go for a touchdown, not a field goal, I'm pretty sure going from 6 points and tacking on another 6 or 7 is no one is going to consider that running up the score, when there was a chance, if you give the ball back on downs, that they would score and win. It gave us a good chuckle, though.
It was
still
so silly.
Oh my gosh. Let's see, someone texting in how Hawaii versus UTSA in the bowl. I mean, like we said, Hawaii looking pretty good. And if you guys didn't get to see the Mountain West scores, again, Hawaii 44-35 over Air Force this past weekend, and improving 1-1 in the Mountain West, but 4-2 overall. So just need a couple more wins there to qualify for the bowl game. But at this point, you're kind of setting your sights up a little higher, and it's being more realistic. Obviously, we like to keep it optimistic and positive in here. From the very beginning, we're like, we're going to compete for a top spot and potentially go to the Mountain West Championship. Now it's kind of looking like it could potentially be a possibility, mainly because, one, Hawaii could show us what they could do offensively in that game against Air Force, and some of the other schools not looking as strong. I mean, probably the one that stands out to me is Stanford being able to beat San Jose State 30-29.
How about Uncle Ben? How about
Uncle Ben wants to turn it on? Both quarterbacks throwing for over 400 yards in this game. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, God. Yeah, let's see. Walker Eget also just fired off a trillion passes. This game was really, really fun. Feels good for Stanford, by the way. And as much as I know you should probably root for your fellow conference folks, I don't know. I like watching them lose.
Yeah.
I just do.
Oh, of course.
And it's, especially with common opponents, I'm just like, oh man, it was something that I was not praying for. That's a stretch, but something that I very much so kept a very close eye on throughout the day. Where, okay, because it created the same exact thought in my mind that you just said, where perhaps we still should be thinking higher, even after the loss against Fresno State. I've said it before. I don't believe UNLV is as good as their record indicates. Fresno State's good. You don't play Boise State. You just beat Air Force on the road. Colorado State just lost to UTSA. So, there are a lot of conversations where if things break your way, if you win this game versus Utah State, then all of a sudden the confidence comes rushing back of, can this team be a sneaky Mountain West Conference championship game bid team?
But also,
it feels so crazy.
You talk about common opponents, and yes, we don't play Boise State. But if I remind everybody, last week Boise State did play at Air Force as well.
It was pretty much the same game.
Yeah, the final score of that game was 49-37 in Boise State's favor. The score with Hawaii, 44-35. So you're like, whoa. All right, similar, like Paul just said, same game, Hawaii being able to score close to as many points as Boise State did, a similar style game, right? And obviously game planning, everything is different, everything's different. But again, this is more of the optimism. San Diego State, after putting a beat down somehow on Cal.
That's why I just sighed. I was like, did you see the SDSU game?
Putting a beat down on Cal, and then probably the most boring game of the weekend, San Diego State beating future Mountain West opponent in Northern Illinois 6-3. So not doing very much on offense. And again, I have no idea about Northern Illinois. I have no idea if they potentially have a defense as good as Fresno State. I doubt it. But for San Diego State, put up all these points and shut out Cal last week, and now you just put up 6-3 on Northern Illinois. And Colorado State losing to Washington State 20-3 at home. So you're like, wait a minute. And Colorado State, as we know, is on Hawaii's schedule. So you're starting to kind of look at some of these common opponents and kind of being a little more optimistic. Like I said, obviously, if you look at the betting market as the odds stand right now via BetMGM, Boise State, 100% understandable. They're the defending champs. They're always in the
until proven otherwise, they should be.
We get it. Boise State, your shortest odds to win the Mountain West Championship at -120, followed by UNLV at 4-1, who UNLV did have a bye this weekend. And then there's the big drop-off. Let's see, you got Fresno State, though, at 7-1. Some of the other guys that we projected earlier, San Jose State at 20-1. Hawaii and Air Force is way down. Hawaii is 30-1. So Colorado State 25-1. So Hawaii and San Diego State 20-1. Which, why are you?
Wait a second.
Shorter odds than Hawaii. That's fine. Put a little sprinkle on that.
So maybe I'm bugging out here, right? Is Colorado State just bad? Because they should be 0-4. They're 1-3 right now. Their lone win against Northern Colorado, and that game, if you remember, is the one that UNC got absolutely railroaded at the end.
Yeah.
Where it looked, I mean, I still don't know how they overturned it. It looked like a catch, and they end up taking it away instead. Colorado State did everything they could to give that game away, and ever since, they lost another one at home against UTSA, 17-16. And then, like you said, just not smackdown, but really an uncompetitive performance against Washington State. Are they just bad?
I mean, that's what we're hoping for.
Is Jay Norvella on a hot seat?
Ooh.
That'd be crazy because they were the dark horse contender for the Mountain West championship bid last year through 5 conference weeks. And now, I don't know. That game looks less daunting now to me than it did when the schedule first came out, I guess, is the biggest point overall.
Especially, again, as we mentioned, that game being on the road, it's going to be hard for Hawaii to win on the road, but they proved
Beating
that
Air
they could
Force.
win at Colorado.
Man, it felt really good to see a road win there.
But that was something we said in the beginning of the season, right? The Colorado games were earlier, so the cold wouldn't affect you, and then that Wyoming game is here. So this season, you're not necessarily, and Utah State is here, so you're not being affected by the cold. Obviously, they played UNLV in November when it will be cold, but you're inside Allegiant Stadium.
Can survive
that. Don't have one of those really extremely cold games this season where we highlighted this schedule is somewhat favorable for Hawaii in a sense. Every conference game is going to be difficult. But for the most part, how we've seen before, where it's like you're going to Laramie in November, oh my gosh, it's the worst thing is that Hawaii cannot play in the cold, or you're going to one of those Colorado schools again later in the calendar year, and it's just too cold. This is shaping up pretty darn good for our Rainbow Warriors.
It really is, and it goes back to what we were talking about when the schedule first came out. Is you have a favorable schedule, and honestly, it's gone exactly. Or at least non-conference went exactly as we had pitched it, where can you go 3-1 in non-conference? Can you get halfway to a bowl bid before you even get to non-con? That's exactly what they did. And while you would have hoped for a more competitive game against Arizona, we've talked about all the issues that happened with that. You just kind of flipped what you expected, which was a win at home versus Fresno State and a loss on the road versus Air Force. You just flipped those. It's gone exactly as we expected, and that was our optimistic outlook on the year. When do things ever go by the optimistic outlook on the year?
Yeah, it's what are we doing here? By the way, Hawaii's next opponent, that was one score we didn't mention yet. They lost, Utah State that is, lost to number 18 Vanderbilt, 55-35. Vandy is undefeated in this season. So again,
ranked Vandy, by the way.
It's not that game, we can't take too much out of it. Utah State, I still think, will be a very tough opponent to play, and one of the games that, fortunately, it is here at home. But again, it's not something that Hawaii necessarily, it's not as scary considering it is here at home. And for Utah State, they did beat Air Force as well. That game was 49-30. And again, similar score.
Utah State scares me a little bit. Their offense scares me.
Well, that's where it's fortunately, this game is at home, which
Correct.
is one thing we pointed
out. Where our
out.
defense has been, me suiting up for UH,
fine.
Where UH's defense has been a lot better this season, and it will need to be that, and that's a conversation for next week. I am getting way ahead of myself here. But just overall, it's very, very encouraging to see what Hawaii has been able to do, to see how the rest of the conference has been shaping up. You feel very good about your chances going forward throughout the year to, at the very least, be competitive in every single game. And when I say competitive, I don't mean in a way where you're ooh, rebuilding program, we're competitive. I mean competitive in a way where it's every single game you go in expecting to win. That's a cool feeling to have back for Hawaii. And fans deserve that.
I think fans especially deserve that UNLV. I keep looking at that UNLV game to really matter because, like I said, depending on how this shapes up, if Hawaii wins, at least all their home games, UNLV maybe stumbles here and there because UNLV does have Boise State on their schedule on October 18th. So we'll see how that game goes.
It's a non-zero chance that game is not a play-in game for the Mountain West Championship, obviously, but as close to what we've seen for Hawaii in a long, long time.
Yeah. And again, you still have a lot of games.
Got to win a
Utah
lot of
State,
games before then.
play Colorado State in Colorado. Then you have another bye week, which is great, before you have to go back on the road to play San Jose State, play San Diego State at home here, hopefully not lose by a field goal like it was last year where you're supposed to win that game. And then you have another bye week before going on the road to UNLV. So all of these kind of breaks in between, Hawaii, again, having to play 6 games straight before getting their first bye week, but deservedly so now after that win at Air Force, get to regroup against Utah State, who also has a bye week the same time. So both teams are going to be nice and fresh come in a couple of weeks. So it's looking pretty good, Paul. I'm excited. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
All right. Wake up in the den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760. Right now. We got that, turn it up loud. I know you're wondering how. I got that wow. Here I go, coming.
Welcome back to all of you, the beautifulest of all the beautiful people. It's Wake Up in the Den. Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM, AM 760, hawaiisportsradio.com, and you will be able to watch or listen on demand wherever you get your podcasts or on our YouTube channel. All right, this is a very hot topic, Paul. I know that's been circling in the basketball community for quite some time, and I wanted to make sure we get a chance to talk about it because I'm glad we are in agreement, which most times we are, but it seems like even quote-unquote basketball experts are on the other side, which I find surprising. And just to take everybody back, we are referring to the WNBA playoffs. If we are going back to Friday's game between the Minnesota Lynx and the Phoenix Mercury, there was an end play that it essentially injured Napheesa Collier, who was not able to play yesterday. Alyssa Thomas went for what looked like a clean steal. And it's just one of those. Basketball is a physical sport. This isn't volleyball where you're on opposite sides. Like there's going to be incidental contact. There is, like, on plays like going for a steal that was essentially a 50-50 ball on the bounce. Alyssa Thomas for the Phoenix Mercury got a clean steal, in my opinion, on Napheesa Collier. Unfortunately, it was just her leg planted in a different way, and Napheesa banged her leg on Alyssa Thomas's leg, and then, went down, and she didn't play in yesterday's game. Cheryl Reid went crazy. She went crazy at the refs. She went crazy at the fans. Then she went crazy in the, and by crazy, like, the post-game comments I could understand up until the point where she talks about Collier, because the officiating has been consistent. Like, if no one has been watching the WNBA playoffs, the officiating and how much they let go, and I think it was I want to say it was, I forget which coach it was in a post-game press conference, but basically said if these things were happening in the NBA, like, everything would get called. But that's why the WNBA has been so great, because it's very reminiscent to, I guess, 90s NBA, when a lot of physicality was allowed to be let go. And yes, could they kind of reel it back a little bit? Sure. But it's been consistent throughout the whole time. And for everyone to single out this one play that, honestly, on top of all the other plays, and yes, Napheesa Collier obviously getting banged up, and, Cheryl Reid made the kind of note about the fouls and not getting free throw shots, all understandable. But that was a clean steal, Paul.
Yeah.
100% clean steal. It's kind of similar, and I know, like, Juju Watkins for USC is out for the season. It's similar, though, to when Juju tore her ACL, and it just stepped wrong. The contact, everything was a basketball play about when she took that contact. It's just so happened her foot planted at the worst time, and that's just, again, incidental contact that happens. That's what happened to Napheesa Collier. And for some people to think that wasn't a clean steal, I'm like, have you guys watched basketball? Like, do we know the rules? Like, it's unfortunate. Obviously, the Mercury beat the Lynx, and now they're going to the WNBA finals. But we can't crash out about some of this stuff happening in the WNBA playoffs, because it's been awesome.
The playoffs have been so incredibly elite. Like, that is not debatable at all. I will push back a little bit in terms of I do think the officiating in the W has been horrific all year. And in that sense, I'll agree with you. They've been consistently horrible all year. But that's something that does need to change going forward, where they do need to have better, more qualified officials doing it.
That's why I was saying Cheryl Reid crashing out in the post game saying that it needs to change. Valid. I get it.
Totally valid.
I understand all of it until she mentioned the Collier thing and her leg got taken out. Yeah.
So, and that's where I feel bad, because I do think overall Cheryl Reeves had a gripe about the way that game was being officiated. Mm-hmm. I do think that it is understandable. I think Napheesa Collier probably is among the more disrespected stars in either the W or the NBA. It is unfortunate that the play that went viral, that she lost her mind on and gets ejected for, just flatly is a clean steal. Mm-hmm. Like, it felt like a clean steal in the moment. I watched it in replay. I watched all of it, where it is unfortunate in every single way. Like, I love Fee. She is one of the most exciting players in the W. She is incredibly awesome as a human being. It bothered me that people were like, oh, AT was trying to be dirty. She was trying to take out Napheesa Collier. And I don't think that was the case. When you look at it, this is a basketball play that happens consistently, whether it's in the W or in the NBA. Incidental contact is the incendiary phrase, and the one that everybody's getting frustrated about, of like, oh, it doesn't mean that you can just run through somebody. But I do recommend people go and they look at highlights and they watch, especially playoff basketball, where once there is contact with the ball first, once the ball is jarred loose, once there is no longer singular possession, then all of a sudden there becomes this incidental contact clause that it seems nobody understands.
Yeah.
And how dare you guys, by the way, you guys being the ones who are tweaking out calling this a foul. How dare you make me agree with the NBA officials account on Twitter? How dare you? Are you kidding me? Me, somebody who is incredibly hard on the refs, the officials, especially in the NBA, talks a lot. How dare you make me agree with them? Almost retweet them. Oh, God. But no, I thought it was a really unfortunate play that was a great steal in the moment, that looks really awkward. But by the letter of the law, she did what she was supposed to do. She knocked the ball free and went on a straight line path to go get it. I guess my question back to these people would be, because they say, oh, you can't run through Fee's body. My question would be, well, all right, if AT pokes that away and just stands there and Fee falls into her and she falls down, is that not a charge? Is she not entitled to the space? Mm-hmm. So by her trying to get out of the way, or I guess it was with her inside hand trying to poke it away, she pokes it away, and because of the momentum, the speed, the off balance of Napheesa Collier, she goes down because she goes forward, and it's almost like pulling the chair out as a defender, right? Where you see so many post players go down because they get their balance off center. That's what it looked like more so to me. It's really unfortunate that an injury happened and the level of injury that happened for Napheesa Collier. But the discourse around it, this is what frustrates me a little bit about the W. I love WNBA basketball. It seems that every 2 weeks or so, fans have just this need to have unbelievably absurd conversations about like they can't talk about basketball.
Yes, it's like we are trying to grow this sport, and then they do something that it's like, now you're making it frustrating for people that are maybe new to the sport, and then we're like, oh, see, there's the WNBA doing WNBA things all over again. And it's so frustrating.
And again, like,
it's a good game. It's a tough fought game. Again, the Mercury, they'll punch their ticket into the WNBA finals. The Aces and Fever have a game 5. Again, it is a best of 5, so it's winner take all in this one. But it was good. And like you said, like, Fee is a phenomenal player. top 5 for sure, arguably top 3 player in the WNBA. Yeah. So it's like, it was unfortunate that happened for Minnesota, but it is a commonality. Like, they do need to fix the officiating, but again, it's been consistent. So yes, they need to fix it, but at the same time, they've been consistently bad.
What you signed up for. Unfortunately, or
but that in particular, it would be like, if I can explain this in soccer terms, right? Like, in soccer, sometimes tackles look really, really bad because like a player can go flying.
Perfect
but
analogy.
As long as you get the ball first, everything is fair game. If you slide in, you get the ball, you steal the ball, and the player just so happen doesn't jump over the slide tackle and just makes contact, goes flying, does whatever, and maybe gets hurt in the process, it's still a clean play because you got the ball first. Like, that is the rule. Maybe in football terms, it's not necessarily a tackle per se, but pass interference, right? Like, if the ball is essentially 50-50 and the defender looks back and goes like for the ball too, even though he makes contact with the offensive player, it's not
general hand fighting that's allowed.
No, but I'm talking about when it like goes up and then the defender looks around and then is the one that even if he maybe bumps the receiver out of the way, but he's going for the football, that is essentially won't
incidental
be called.
contact.
Yeah, because he is going up for the football and not preventing the offensive player from catching the football because he's going up for the football as well, right? Like, there's things that happen in sports where it's the incidental contact of a entirely 100% clean play that happens, and sometimes injuries happen out of it.
It's just unfortunate.
Yeah, please, all the WNBA basketball fans in general that are crashing out about that
Stop
one play.
Stop being weird about basketball.
We want to enjoy basketball. Don't be weird about that. All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back to close things out here on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network.
Back to more Wake Up in the Den with Ku'ulei Agbayani on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network, 95.1 FM and AM 760.
Ku'ulei Agbayani and Paul Brecht on the Hawaii Sports Radio Network. Closing it out here, and again, we couldn't get our live stream up and running. So you guys will be able to watch on demand on our YouTube channel a little later today, or you can listen wherever you get most podcasts. Just a few more minutes left in this show, and I can't remember, Paul, was it last week when we were talking about, I forget who I was talking about, but then when I was like, man, don't you just find it annoying when someone that you don't like makes a really good point and you're darn it.
We were talking about that. Because I go, I reference the meme, heartbreaking, the worst person you know made a good point.
So I bring that up because I've been watching this show on Netflix, like this kind of reality game show. It's called Inside, and it has a bunch of like, I guess, influencers or reality TV people, yada, yada, yada. It's almost like similar to how Mr. Beast, like Beast Games, he created Beast Games. This show was created by some other YouTubers, whatever. But one of the people that are on the show is Dwight Howard. And if you guys have known me for a long time, I am very much like, I despise Dwight Howard because he was, I'm an Orlando Magic fan, played for Orlando, and just completely like, I felt like did the franchise dirty, got Stan Van Gundy fired, and then he left and all of that stuff. And he just was a very annoying player. And everything that he did in Orlando. Yes, it was great going to like seeing my team go to the NBA finals, all that stuff. But just how things ended with Dwight Howard in Orlando and just how he was at the Lakers for the beginning. It was just, I just didn't like him anymore. And so Dwight Howard is on this show. And he's turned into like the most likable person ever. And I'm like, I still want to not like you, Dwight.
I love Dwight.
But
like, I really love Dwight Howard.
Like, his personality, and he talks about, and like the show isn't necessarily about getting to know the contestants per se, but they do really humanize him a lot, and he says a lot of stuff that I'm like, because he talks about, because you can win like $1 million in this show. Obviously, he has millions, but then he talks about how when he got into the NBA, he was so young and he didn't know any better for a lot of things, and he's just very like, he's so cool, like, and he's so down to earth with all of these other people, and I'm like, all right, Dwight, I forgive you. I think I forgive you now for what you did to Orlando.
So that's the unfortunate thing.
I'm like, dang it.
I really like Dwight Howard. I just think he's overall a pretty good dude. It's been fun. I also think he's one of the best players in NBA history. Like, just
He is. I mean,
probably
in the show they announced that they gave him the announcement that he's in the Hall of Fame, and
it
made it so
Two times.
he was so sad, like not sad, but joyful and emotional, and all of the contestants were like hugging him, and I'm like, okay, I forgive you.
No, I loved him last year when he was on Dancing with the Stars. I've always enjoyed him, though. I enjoyed him back when I never rooted for him as a player, so I was kind of I was able to enjoy his personality because the only times I ever really was exposed to him was when he would go on TV shows. Like The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, or The Sweet Life on Deck is what I remember him as. So
I just had the first instance of he's just a horrible person and what he did to Orlando.
He's a little human now.
So now I'm like,
or a big human, I guess.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, I guess I like you. Anyways, we got to go. We'll be back tomorrow for Paul Brecht. I'm Ku'ulei Agbayani. Mahalo for listening and watching. It's been Wake Up in the Den. Bye.